Yeah. It was to Hello? Can you all hear me okay? Everybody at the back? Great. All right, I think we got everybody checked in. So we're gonna get started. Yes, we are DMA. All right, good morning, everybody. How are you all doing? Great. How was your sleep last night in the dorm? Was okay? That's great to hear. Okay, my name is Yuhao Jiang. I am the director of the UCLA Design Media Arts Summer Institute. On behalf of the entire staff at Design Media Arts, we welcome you to the DMA Summer Institute of 2023. We're so delighted to host you in our home, the UCLA Design Media Arts Department, which is more than a place with classrooms, computers, and labs. It is most importantly a community of people who are genuinely passionate about design, art, and media technology. We also believe that design plays a critical role. It affects our life and many of the issues that we face in the world today. Today, you are converging here from all over California, all over the country, and the whole world. For the next 2 weeks, you will be a member of one of the most dynamic universities of the world. As a fellow Bruin, you're joining a community that includes Nobel Prize, Pulitzer Prize, Grammy, and Academy Award winners. UCLA is the home of many accomplished scientists, researchers, and thinkers. It is a place where curiosity, creativity, and far-fetched ideas are valued. I truly hope you will enjoy your time here and enjoy being a part of this community. Also, from the undergraduate to the postdoc, UCLA is home to some of the most brilliant students you can find. You'll get to know some of them today as your instructors and program assistants. Some advice here: this is a great opportunity for you to get to know them, to learn about college lives and career opportunities, in particular in the field of design and media arts. Once upon a time, I was a student here in the same department, and it really changed my life. So I hope these next few weeks will be something that you treasure in the future. I have no doubt that you will make wonderful memories in the next 2 weeks. We have been working very hard to make sure that this summer institute will leave a long-lasting impact and make you grow as an artist, designer, and creative being. Hopefully, you will make a few friends along the way too. Seems like a lot of you have already been making friends, so that's great. The Department of DNA is a small department with an excellent reputation. Experimentation, conceptual thinking, and social awareness are embedded into our curriculum. You will have the opportunity to learn the core disciplines in print, net, motion, and worlds. Your instructors will guide you through a series of hands-on learning activities that will help you build your portfolio for college applications. You will also gain technical skills and learn about current discourses in these different fields. And I shall not forget to mention that all of your projects will be presented in a final exhibition that is open to the public on the last day of the program in the space we're in right now. And we're gonna totally transform it with projectors, TVs, and game consoles you can play games with. So that's very exciting. Every year, we propose a theme as a way to both inspire and guide you in your conceptual journey. This year, the theme is dream, or dreams. I want to take a few minutes to unpack and talk about the meaning of this year's theme and how it may inspire your work and experiments. It is a beautiful day today in Los Angeles, and it looks like we're on for a beautiful whole rest of the week. Here in Los Angeles, we're lucky to always have such beautiful weather for most of the time. For me, summer has always been associated with change, with possibilities, and most of all with dreams, daydreaming. Now, everybody try to imagine yourself laying in a field on a hot summer day. Look up at the clouds, seeing different shapes in them. What do you see in these clouds here? In a way, it's a bit like a Rorschach blot. How many of you have heard of Rorschach ink blot? Great. So a Rorschach ink blot is made by folding a piece of paper together with ink in the middle. It was used as a psychological assessment technique where the patient would be asked what they see in the ink blot. So here I can say I kind of see a moth or a face or kind of like an animal face. When you associate a shape with a cloud, you're making associations based on resemblance. Like looking into a cloud, dreams are seen as a window into the subconscious mind, reflecting our thoughts, emotions, desires, and fears. Dreams can also represent our aspirations, on the other hand, our hopes and goals in life. Beyond the personal experience of dreams, we can also say that the worlds we see in science fictional films present our collective and cultural dreams. As you all know, Los Angeles is a city where the Hollywood industry is located. So do any of you recognize what film this is from? Some of you. It's from the 2017 film Blade Runner 2049, which set in a futuristic Los Angeles. As a side note, so every year, our Summer Institute, we work with a graphic designer to design the graphic identity and overall look of the program based on the yearly theme. So this year, we work with an amazing graphic designer. His name is Sean Wan. He also graduated from the DMA undergraduate program. So Sean created a series of Rorschach ink blot-like images through processing multiple science fiction film stills. So you might recognize some of these here and there. I believe some of them are also set in Los Angeles. And you will see some of these images reappear in our instructors' slides as well. Sean also created a series of a typeface that is unique to this summer's program. As you can see here, the dotted outline represents the boundaries between dreaming and reality. You probably have already seen the typeface being used on this year's logo. So this is a good example of taking the idea of a theme and translating it into a visual identity, a design, or a work of art. So in the next 2 weeks, our instructors will guide you to explore this topic through various design and art practices. We'll all get to see your work in our public exhibition at the end, something I'm personally very looking forward to. I can't wait to see all the wonderful work you'll be producing this year. Great. So I just finished our welcome. Again, welcome everybody to UCLA and to join us for a 2-week program at Design Media Arts. Thank you. So now I'm going to continue my presentation, and I'm going to move into the second part of my presentation to cover more information and logistics about the program. And I'll make sure to go through this part quickly. But before I do that, maybe this is a good moment for everybody to get up and stretch a little bit so we can keep our energy going. Let's all do that. And I want to remind you all, for the next 2 weeks, you're probably going to spend a lot of time with your computers and devices, so make sure you don't forget to stretch and get some free air. Cool. So first, I want to briefly introduce our lovely instructors and program assistants. When I call your name, please stand up and wave so we see your lovely faces. First, I want to introduce the instructors. We have Aurora TeachNet. Next, Do Young will be the instructor for Worlds class. And Kevin is the instructor for Motion. And Ariel is the instructor for Print. Now for program assistants, we have Vivian for Net, Isabel for Worlds, and Pam for Print. Thank you. So not only that, we also have a lot of staff behind the scenes at the Summer Institute who are essential for its functioning. Some people to thank are our photographer, Richard, that's at the back. You'll see him around. I want to thank our web designer, Amelia, who's not with us today, and Jonathan Cecil and Alan Wood, you probably will meet later today. They have been helping us with software and IT. And we have some other staff you'll meet later on as well. So lots of people supporting you all around the program. Let's also give a round of applause for them. Now I want to quickly go over the schedule for today. So we are about here, we're on the second task of the day. Each of the instructors will be doing a short presentation about their work and the class you will be taking, and followed by a quick presentation by the program assistant. And then we will take a 1 hour, 15-minute lunch break. We're gathered back here at 1 p.m., because there's a typo here, and we'll be break out into your 4 groups. For breakout activities. We'll show you the campus a little bit, we'll show you the classrooms, and we'll have a few fun activities. So one thing that everybody should make sure is you know which group you are in. So please raise your hand if you do not know which group you are. Okay. So if you don't, just make sure you check either with me or one of our program assistants after during the lunch break. So that's today's schedule. All right, now I want to briefly go through the whole 2 weeks schedule with you all. So first of all, the most important things is to know what group you are in, and depending on what group you're in, it's going to determine your class schedule starting tomorrow. Also, this whole class schedule is available on our Summer Institute website, which has been posted on the wall that you should bookmark. So feel free to take a picture. You can always go back to the website. It's all the information is there. All right. So in week 1, you're going to take 2 classes, and then on week 2, you're going to take other 2 classes. And we have 4 classes for you in total. Okay, so let's say you're in group 3. Okay, let's just give an example. So how you're going to do this is follow group 3. So whoever's in group 3, on week 1, you're going to take print class in the morning, and then worlds in the afternoon. And on week 2, you're going to take net class in the morning and motion class in the afternoon. And these are all color-coded. And on the bottom left here, you see where the classrooms are, all right? So make a note that net class is going to happen not in this building. It's going to happen in the library, which we're going to show you exactly where it is this afternoon. It's about 5 to 10 minute walk from here. So make sure you remember that. I think group 1, you're going to be starting tomorrow with net. So make sure you go to the library tomorrow morning. All right? And another note is on Thursday, on week 1, we have a portfolio night / extended lab night. So portfolio night is a great chance for you all to bring in your portfolio if you would like to get feedback or from our wonderful program assistants. This is also a great chance for you to get to know them and also get to hear what their experience are like with college life. And I also made it a / extended lab night. So extended lab night, we also have one on week 2, Thursday night. And note those 2 events are required for everybody. Extended lab night is a great opportunity for you to problem solve with about some projects you're working on, and also get feedback and get your final projects ready before Friday's final exhibition. So make sure you're aware of that. We'll also have pizza for everybody for those 2 nights as well. Cool. So if you have any question about the schedule, make sure you let me know or let one of our staff know during the break. And now I want to quickly show you a little bit of the Summer Institute website. You should all have this bookmarked already. So we have 4 tabs up here. Info page is where you see right now. It provides a general information about the Summer Institute. But down here, there is a tab called Campus Resources. I will be covering a little bit of this information right now, but I just want to show you all this is where you can find them. Includes where you can get your brewing card. Some of you were asking about it. Has a link where you can find all the restaurants on campus. Here is an interactive map link online of the UCLA campus. And also, if you ever need evening escort, this is where you can find more information. Curriculum. Under curriculum, Net World Motion Print, you will find your instructor and program assistant's email address on here and the location of the class. And your instructor may share more information about your class here. If they do, they'll let you know. Tech support, most of you have probably already seen this page. This contains information about how to get a DMA account, a UCLA account, an Adobe account, and Unity account. So if you have questions about any of those, make sure you let one of our staffs know as well. Schedule, this is where you can find the course schedule right here. And it also contains information about some events. And the last one is gallery. This directly links to our Summer Institute Instagram account. During the next 2 weeks, we're going to be sharing lots of program highlights on here, so make sure you follow us. Cool. All right. So that's our website. Next, attendance. Move screen here. All right, so attendance is very important and it is required. We are going to check attendance every morning at 9 a.m. and afternoon at 1:30 p.m. Remember, you're taking a college level class, so it is very important you show up to every class on time. If you ever need to be absent or late, you can either let me know or your instructor or program assistant know for the day. If you need to leave for the day or if you're not going to stay in the dorm for the night, you want to make sure you let me know. You also want to make sure that you have your parents or guardian submit a leave request form or curfew exception form, and we'll have to prove it. So if you have any questions about that, make sure you talk to me and let me know. All right. So next slide. Dining. This is a fun part. Dining, you probably already had breakfast at the UCLA dining hall this morning. Is that correct? So UCLA, people say it has the best dining hall among all the universities. So I hope you enjoy all the fine dining provided for the next 2 weeks. Lunch is on campus. We have a 1-hour break from 12:30 to 1:30 between classes. And so make sure you bring lunch money or medicine, if any, and a water bottle with you every morning. And the reason I say this is because you probably would not have time to go back to your dorm during the lunch break because it's only 1 hour. So make sure you bring everything you need for the day with you in the morning. In the afternoon, we'll show you a few lunch spots that's close to our classroom here. And also, I recommend you to walk with a friend when you come to class or when you go explore somewhere, so just for safety reasons and for just in case you don't get lost. Snack breaks, we will provide everybody snacks at 2:30 p.m. every day, but just be aware if you're allergic to nuts, there might be some nuts. All right, so brewing card, I'll go through this part quickly. We've already provided you information about brewing card. It is not required for you to take classes. The reason you might want to have it is, first of all, if you want to do laundry in your dorm, you will definitely need a brewing card with money loaded in it. It functions as a debit card. And in addition to that, it will get you access to the library and the gym and other kind of resources on campus. So the brewing card office has information here. They take both appointment and walk-ins, and this is their office location and hours. It's about 15 to 20 minutes walk from here. You'll find more information on brewingcard.ucla.edu. All right, safety. So just in case of a fire drill or emergency, we'll use stairs, which is next to the elevator in this building, and all go down to the ground floor and gather at the Richard Serra sculpture outside. That's a big bronze sculpture you just walked past when you come checking. Around the campus, you'll find blue light emergency phones. So those are emergency phones you can call just in case of an emergency. So keep an eye out for them. I already mentioned the evening escort service. They're available from dusk to 1 a.m. This is a phone number you can call. And if you're not feeling well, make sure you let me know or let your instructor or program assistant know. Zero tolerance policy. This is also very important. So when you register for the program, you probably already read and agreed to a program agreement, which includes we have zero tolerance for alcohol, illegal drugs, and the following harassment, intolerance behaviors. So make sure you behave yourself here on campus. And if you don't, you will be dismissed from the program. Great. So next, this is very exciting. I want to talk a little bit about the Discord. And I've seen there has been already a lot of activities going on the Discord, which is great. And I just want to share a little bit information about how we're going to be incorporating the usage of Discord to our 2 weeks program. Mainly, this is something we want to be used for the instructors and PAs to share information with you about the class. Let's say if they quickly want to drop a link with everybody. Also, this is a space if you want to ask questions for us or to the whole community. This is a great place. So the first thing you have to do, which I don't think most of you have done, is to go to the group role assign and pick your group. Okay, so go to the channel, group role assign and pick your group. This will allow you to have access to the necessary channel you need for your class. So make sure don't forget to do that. And next, I want to share, okay, so this is, once you picked a group, let's say if you're in group 1, under each class, you should be able to see and only see the group 1 channel, right? So if you have a question about the class, you should post it probably under, let's say, print group 1, all right? And just to quickly go through these channels, program info at the very top is where we share general announcements. And if you have general questions, feel free to post in the questions channel under general. For each class, please ask questions and related information under each class in your group. And then under social, this is where you can talk to all your new friends in the program. So next, I also want to share what's the best way to reach us at, all the staff. I've already shown you where the instructor and PA's email on the website. So that's where you can email us. If you have a question or emergency, you can also DM us through Discord. And this is how you can DM somebody. So on the right, you will see all the roles, and then we are labeled as staff. So you'll find, let's say Vivian is the program assistant for net class, and she's labeled under net staff. The way to DM somebody is you click on their name, and then there's over here, this is where you can DM us, all right? And if you don't see this bar, this is where you click on. So you click on the people, shows all the things, and then you DM. So feel free to DM us, but just be aware for after hours, we might not get back to you right away. Oh, I also had all these great marks I forgot to show you. All right, so we're getting to the end of the presentation, so thank you all for being patient. Also, I would like to have everybody change your server profile name to your real name. The way to do it is next to our server, here is a drop-down menu. Click on that and then go to Edit Server Profile. And here is where you can change your server nickname and pronouns. And make sure you save changes afterwards. All right, so the most important two things relating to Discord is pick your group and change your server profile. Great, so here are a list of things I've already mentioned, how we can stay connected. All right, so last but not least, have fun and enjoy the next 2 weeks. I'll be around during the program, so feel free to say hi if you see me walking around in the hallways. I am really looking forward to getting to know you all and your work over the next 2 weeks. Welcome everyone and enjoy. Also, I want to mention that we have signs for bathroom. It is located if you walk out of this room, make a quick left, enter the door on your left hand and go all the way down the hallway. That's where the bathroom is. So for the rest of this morning, if you need to use bathroom, feel free to step outside. So now we will have, we'll welcome Ariel, the instructor for print class, to do a presentation for us, and then we will follow with presentations from other instructors. So everybody feel free to stretch and welcome Ariel.
Hello. My name is Ariel. Is this? I'm the print instructor for this year. And let's talk a little bit about this presentation before we get started. This presentation is going to be split into 3 sections. There's going to be an introduction where I talk a little bit about who I am and my work, particularly as it relates to printed media. We will also be discussing the contents of the class, meaning what is this class going to be about, and we will also talk a little bit about what projects we'll make in the class. So let's start with the introduction. Again, my name is Ariel. I was born in the south of Argentina, in the north of the Patagonia region. I'm a current DMA grad student, and I have a background in electronics, studio arts, and media arts. Some of my more prominent interests are education, access to art and culture, the history of labor movements, social justice, tools, death, memory, and communities. So I don't work specifically in printed media a lot, especially not since I came here, but I have a background in teaching. When I finished undergrad, I spent my next 5 to 6 years teaching, and one of these teaching jobs that I had was at a very small art school that was run by my local city council in my little city in the south of Argentina. And I had the incredible luck there to meet Andrea, who was the printmaking teacher. And since I have a little bit of background in printmaking and graphical art, we started working together. And this was a difficult job. It was a job that working in an institution that had very little resources, but it was with a great team of people, and we had really excellent students. And in this slide, I just wanted to illustrate, we were always trying to print and work beyond our technical and financial means. So for one summer class, for instance, we decided that we were going to do large format prints, but we didn't have a large format press. So this is what we came up with. So we were always trying to, what I want to bring out about this is that thankfully Andrea, the printmaking teacher, and Sebastian, who's driving the car here, who was also a teacher, we tried to create this kind of experimental mode of teaching, an experimental way of being in the classroom. We were always trying out stuff with our students, trying to see how far we could get with whatever stuff we had at hand. As I mentioned, another interest that I have is in tool making, and how does making tools relate to our practice. During the pandemic, when we went into lockdown, we found that we couldn't work with our students anymore. We had a group of about 20 kids between 8 and 15 years old that we did printmaking with. And because printmaking requires really specific equipment, and we were all in lockdown, we just couldn't work with them anymore. We couldn't have remote classes. So we prototyped and designed this object on the right that you can see. That's a really simple, cheap, and easy to make printing press that makes, for lino cuts, that makes really small prints, like about this big. And this is a photo of my friend's workshop where we designed this press and we did our first prints, which you can see on the left there. And we then turned this into a proper dimensional 3D model that could be replicated. And we managed to get a little bit of funding, so we made about 30 of these presses, which are, again, really simple. We were able to work with a local cooperative community-run carpentry shop that made the presses for us, and we were able to give these to our students and work throughout the pandemic. So this idea of making tools as part of art practice and teaching as part of art practice are really important to me. And working in printed media really favors both of these things. As I said before, again, this is a selection of work that isn't perhaps the most representative of what I do currently, but it's more related to print. I come from a background in media arts as well, so I've always worked a lot with code and trying to explore different modes of visual representation through computation. And I'm also interested in the history of computation and what are the politics of computation. This is just a couple of pages from a book that I found at the MoMA library in 2019 in New York, where they had, I found it really funny, they were trying to use woodblock representations to explain how to make digital halftone prints. This is a really early 70s technical manual about the first instances of digital graphics, and the best metaphor that was available at the time was actual physical woodblock print to explain how this works and creates halftones. So these are a series of prints that I made with this technique, where I went the other way around. I made a little piece of software that turns images into these halftone patterns, and these were later laser cut and used as print matrices on a lino cut press. This is some animation work that I was doing, also I'm always trying to combine methods of work and combine techniques, and I'm always trying to be pursuing my interests, and this makes me work in perhaps less conventional modes especially within image making. This teacher that I was working with, she's a very traditional, strict printmaking teacher, and I would drive her crazy because I was always coming up with these ideas that she felt she'd she felt that I was doing things the wrong way, but I think we made a good teaching combination. These are some tests. These are some laser etched acrylic plates for dry point printing, where I was trying to get some animations working. These are really tiny, like the original images are about this big, like maybe half an inch across. This was also the time that my father had like open heart surgery, so I guess this was on my mind. Here are a few more. So these are really trying to combine digital image making and manual printing processes, and trying to think about texture and like the physical material qualities of printed images. This was another COVID project. As I said, I do some work in electronics and I have a background in electronics. Here I was trying to make circuit boards, so electronic circuits that also functioned as graphical pieces that would also function as images. These are a series of pins. They're about this big and they're designed to be worn, and they create different kinds of stuff. One of them makes sounds, the other one makes lights, the other one is receptive to sound and light, so they function like a little, kind of like a little family of objects that if I'm wearing and you're wearing, they can interact. And these were all handmade at home during the pandemic, during lockdown. But again, trying to take these like really hard technical media such as printed circuit boards and trying to turn them into graphical pieces. So this is not a traditional way of making images, but I was interested in trying to see what I could get out of these strange techniques. This is an installation piece from 2018. As I mentioned, I'm concerned with memory. These are a series of postcards that are on the wall, and they have this projection lands on them, and the projection is looks like noise, like a dotted noise thing. But those dots are actually like little slices of images of portraits, and the postcards are coated in glow-in-the-dark pigment, in just paint. So if you run this installation long enough, when it gets dark, you see these faces appear in the photographs. These are all people that have, under different circumstances, died at the hands of the national state in Argentina during my lifetime. So the idea with this piece is that you could take one of these postcards that has this portrait embedded on it, but the portrait is only embedded in light. So this is kind of like a light printing technique. The substrate that's used for printing here is the glow-in-the-dark paint, but also the light. So it's a really fragile thing. If you expose it to the sunlight, it fades away, because it all of it becomes exposed, the whole piece of paper. So my idea was that you could take one of these portraits, and if you took really good care of it, the image would last for a while, so you would have to like hide it under your shirt or something. So this was like an exercise in collective memory, and how can we take these memories of these people and as a group take care of them and be responsible for them. This is the last thing I'll show. This is my thesis work here at DMA from maybe a month back. This is about 3 meter tall sculpture that's like this kind of like house sculpture that's always moving, and it's always like tumbling around, and it seems like it's gonna fall over, but it doesn't. Sometimes it does. So it's a very like unstable structure. But again, for this piece, I was also interested in working with different printing techniques. When I was developing this sculpture, I made this sculpture to be able to hold my weight, to be able to shake me around. So I had made these tests where I was standing on it and it was running, and I like tried to balance on it and fell over after a while. So these are some photos that were printed here in our print lab with the Rizzo printer, which I really like, and I specifically chose for this project. We're going to work with the Rizzo printer in Israel later in the day, and it's going to be really great. And over on the right, I was trying to experiment with capturing this motion in these I'm sure you're familiar with these like lenticular prints that, like, if you switch around, look like different images. Cool, so that's a little bit of my work. Let's chat for a moment about the class itself. We're going to be talking about a number of different contents, and like this is going to be an introductory class, and it's going to be like broad strokes. But some of the main things that we're going to talk about are what are digital images, what are the components of a digital image, what is a digital image made out of, what are the different ways in which we can represent digital images. We will also talk about color and how we can use color, like very basic ideas around color theory. Also, what are the difference between analog color and digital color? What are the different models for understanding color? We'll also discuss a little bit around image composition. This is going to be really important for us. What happens to our eyes and to our perception when we encounter an image? How do our eyes move across an image? What kind of guidelines or tricks can we use to control the way an image is perceived? And importantly, what vocabulary can we incorporate into our knowledge to be able to understand and discuss images better? This is a sketch by Doug Wheeler, who was a really great installation artist and made really excellent. For a really long time, he didn't have the financial means to create his work, so for decades he just made sketches and images of his work and images proposals. And these images were good enough at communicating his intentions that he now builds his installations. Another big thing for us is going to be typography. I am by no means an expert in typography, but we'll discuss some basic ideas around type. What are the components of a typeface? What are some different families of typefaces? And most importantly, how does type affect visual communication? What kinds of typography might I use under different circumstances, and what can that typography convey as a message? So this is just like one of my favorite news headlines in the history of time, and we'll talk about this later. The last big area of knowledge that we'll discuss a little bit is information design. We'll talk about infographics and data visualizations and why we would want to use them, and what is inherent about visual information that allows us as humans to understand information better than if it were written or if it were just a bunch of numbers. This on the right is a project that we'll discuss a lot. It's called Dear Data. It's a mix between a postal art and data visualization project, and it's really excellent. We'll talk about it a lot more during class. So lastly, we are going to have 3 projects in this class, and they will all be combined into the final exhibition, so it's important that we finish all of them. We'll talk more about them, of course, later. But our first project will be a collage. We will work in an analog manner. We'll make a collage out of magazines and printed, like physical stuff, and we will then work on it digitally. We'll scan it, digitalize it, and try to understand in this way what are the different affordances of working in an analog manner or working in a digital manner, and what possibilities arise when we combine these modes of working. This on the right, this is especially appropriate this year for our theme. This is work by Gret Stern, who was a German-Argentinian photographer who made these really beautiful collages in the late 50s and early 60s about illustrating women's dreams for like a women's magazine that was truly horrible and like male-gazy. And she found this way to make these collages that are really inherently feminist and really beautiful. And we'll talk about this later. Our second project is going to be an infographic or a data visualization. So this will have the form of a poster. We'll create a sketch for it, and we will collect our own data for it, and we will think a lot about information design and what is data collection or data processing as a practice. And we'll talk about people that really work a lot, like right on the boundary between the graphic design and data collection. This on the right is an example project by Tiga Brain and Sam Lavine, who I know Sam, and he works a lot with internet data. He collects a lot of data from the internet. This is like a single 3D model that combines the floor plans for every single apartment that is listed for sale in the city of New York. So it's like this is online, I'll give you the link later. You can scroll through it and it's like an eternal apartment. It's like a massive, massive thing. And it's really beautiful, and it really gives you a sense of the amount of real estate and stuff that exists in a large city. These are some examples from last year. The one on the left is a data visualization about moments when this student was feeling insecure throughout the day, and all of these hearts that you see are color-coded, and they represent what kind of feeling of insecurity was present, and also where it was coming from, if it was coming from something that somebody had said to them, or if something that was from within themselves. So this was a really, really beautiful work and really nice project. The one on the right is also a data visualization that is about this person's hours of sleep throughout a month. So it's like a way of quickly visualizing and making a graphical image of how good the quality of sleep of this student was. Our last project that we will make is going to be a zine, a printed, like tiny little handmade magazine, and we'll call it a process zine. So it's going to include process documentation from the class and from other classes that you've taken here at the Summer Institute. This is going to be much more of a free project where you can do your own thing, but we'll talk about the importance of documenting your work and gathering a lot of information of the stuff you do. This on the right is an example from Secret Rizzo Club, which is a collective from New York. This is a zine with tips about how to not go into work, which I really love. But this is an example photo from last year. This was our exhibition. This is the zines that everybody made, and we had them all on the table. So to finish up, as Yuhao said, we will end with an exhibition. And in this exhibition, we're going to be showing your 3 projects. So we're going to have your posters on the wall with your infographics, and we're going to have all your zines, and your zines are also going to contain your first project, which is your collage. So I just want to mention that it's important that we stay on track, and we'll end up with a really nice exhibition that's going to coalesce all of your work, and the exhibition is really great. It's the nicest part of the Summer Institute for me. So that's it. Thank you very much. I'm going to introduce the PA for the class, Pam Larawan. You good? Do you have the ones or no? Cool. This is where you are. You just click your arrows.
Hi everyone, my name is Pamela Dawan. I am a program assistant for print class. My pronoun is she, her, and I am a senior of the SMART student this year. And I was born and raised in Thailand. After I graduated high school, I moved to the States about 7 years ago. I would like to be a graphic designer since I was in the high school. So I have started my journey since then. So after I moved to the States, I attended to Los Angeles Valley College and practiced my art skill there, which is drawing, painting, and graphic design. So this is some of my painting that we have like color pencil color, watercolor, and some graphic design class. And most of my work are the collage image by Photoshop, illustration, InDesign, and I like to focus on the color and updating trending. Yeah. And I also like to create the work for the people around me. So like on the left side, this is the menu for the Thai restaurant that I used to work for the server. And the restaurant called Gala Thai. It is in Burbank. If you go there, you can see my menu there. And I would say they kind of have the good Thai food there. And last year, I got into the part of the internship at Boon Life, a student organization doing publication for yearbooks and online for UCLA students. So I created a poster for them with the concept of fun, and people can hang the poster around the dorm. And after 4 years of community college, I transferred to your program university, and it is an honor to get into UCLA. It has been 1 year since I transferred to UCLA. So the time is fast, but it was a great experience, and I have learned a lot. I feel fortunate to be a design media art student at UCLA. So this is some of my work that I did in the class. This is a motion class 2022. So I create the animation for the first time. I do everything in Procreate and edit in After Effects. And another class is interactive animation class. I had created 2D and 3D game for the first time, and it was hard at first, but it's such a great experience. So the last one is the image and word class. I had created a candy package, which is in the theme at art movement. And another one is the poster for the poem. I had learned a lot in this class, which is kind of fun. Yes. Yes, and this is some of my work and my background. I'm excited to see everyone work, and thank you so much.
So hi everyone, I know that you're probably getting tired, so I'm gonna go through this fast, but I'm Aurora, I'm the instructor of the NET class. I'm very excited to be here, and it's glad to meet you all, and I'm looking forward to have this next couple of weeks together with you. The program assistant of this class is Vivian, who will give a little presentation after me to show her work as well. I'll start by introducing myself a little bit and give you an overview of my background and show you the type of work that I make and kind of what I think about in my own practice. So I'm a graduate student in the Design Media Arts department here at UCLA. I'm also grateful to say that I'm an international Fulbright scholar, and I'm originally from Romania, so eastern part of Europe. Before coming here to UCLA to start my graduate studies, I used to live and work as an art director and 3D artist in Berlin, Germany. Here we go. So for the past around 10 years, I worked as a digital artist in different contexts. I started by doing video and animation, and later on moved on to 3D rendering and simulations. As a professional, I have been collaborating with various international studios, mostly in Europe and the US. And throughout the past years, I've been art directing and creating content for different kinds of projects, from media installations to live visuals for music. I was also VJing for a little bit. I was doing AR filters, XR experiences, and also digital advertising campaigns. I'm gonna play this again while I talk. Here we go. I love 3D as a medium. I'm fascinated by how it simulates the way light and physics work in reality. I'm mostly working with natural light, natural elements, and simulations to create this kind of surreal-looking environments and abstract visuals. To show you an example of my design work, I'll talk about sound sculptures, which is this project over here. So during 2020, I was commissioned to do the art direction for an independent music label in Berlin. My goal here was to visualize the sound in a way that was representative to the music that they produced. So for each cover, I took samples of the music, and based on that data, I created these 3D surfaces, which then I kind of like wrapped around and twisted to create these like 3D jewel-like sculptures. So this parametric way of working allowed me to easily create a different visual for each new cover. So I think this kind of speaks to the beauty of creating art using a computer, because this is something that I think it's harder to do in an analog way. So this is what gets me very excited with that I experiment with quite a lot in my work. And aside from my design work, in the past years I started to create more personal work and turn towards media art, which is what brings me to DMA as well. So in my work, I'm thinking about the way that computation and media changes the way we understand and construct our reality, subjectivity, and identity. This is an image from my most recent show, which is titled Self-Defense, and that took place actually in this room. This room can change in many ways. So it was a 3-channel immersive media installation that explores human vulnerability and inner conflict through the use of digital representation and experimental film techniques. It is a personal reflection on the internalization of narrative structures, and it was a way for me to kind of make sense of my own psyche and autobiography. Here are a few more snippets from that work. So I was working with a 3D scanned model of my body and with other kind of parts of avatars that I modified and animated. So in the same space up there was also another piece in the same exhibition, which was called Edit, Save, Replace, Are You Sure?, which is a media installation composed of 3 vertical screens that examines the malleability of memory. So it's for me, it was a reflection on the way that memory works. So I was using this kind of digital distortion, and each time the video was kind of looping again, it was getting more and more distorted until you couldn't really recognize it. And it was used as a metaphor for the alteration of memory every time something is remembered and recalled. So in big lines, I would say that my work on a formal level is about using the computer as a creative medium, and I'm mainly focusing on, as I said, and as I've showed you, 3D visuals, computer-generated imagery, spatial installations, and representation. And I've been passionate about both art and computer technologies for a long time, and I'm happy to share that excitement with you and all the stuff that I learned along the way. And in the NET class, we will specifically focus on using the internet as a creative medium. And I'm very excited to teach about the internet because I see the web as this ever-evolving and multifaceted and playful medium. You know, when I was growing up, I knew more about being on the internet than my parents or my teachers did. And I think the best way to learn about the internet is really to learn together and to be open to one another. So I want us to have discussions and create knowledge together in the classroom. I'll give you a short overview of the course. So in this class, we will treat the web browser as a blank canvas, and we will explore the internet as a medium for creative expression. It is part seminar and part studio. It will teach you about the internet through exercises and discussions. We will create a project based on the theme of dreams using P5.js, digital drawing, and hot glue, and I'm gonna explain a little bit better what that is in a second. The themes that we're gonna talk about and that we will explore are gonna be the internet, art, social media, randomness. We'll talk about imagination, computation. We'll do some exercises with free association. And quite importantly, we're going to talk about appropriation and remix in the way that we use media on the web. It will take place over 4 days, as Yuhao showed you the schedule just now. It will be a mix of seminars and studio work. So in the first part, I will give a little lecture and we will have discussions. And the second part, you're going to have time to work on your projects. Let's look at each day a little bit more in detail. So for the first day, we're going to do internet and art. We're going to try to define what the internet is and look very briefly at how the internet developed throughout its somehow rather short history. We're going to talk about like Web 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0. We'll talk about the way that artists have been using the internet for self-expression, and we'll learn about a few art movements in the history of internet art. One of them is net art, which kind of emerged in the 90s. On the left side of the screen, you can see a snippet of Olia Lina's work titled My Boyfriend Came Back from the War that she made in 96. We'll discuss why this work was revolutionary at the time and how it was using the browser in a novel way. We also talk about post-internet art through the examples of work such as the work of artist Marisa Olsson, which is on the right side, who also coined the term post-internet art. In the second part of the class, we'll do a short intro into P5.js. P5.js is a JavaScript library for creative coding with a focus on making code accessible and inclusive for artists, designers, educators, beginners, and anyone else. It was developed by Lauren McCarthy, who is also faculty in this department. So it's really great to have the people who made the software we're gonna work with be in here. And so basically this means we're gonna learn how to draw with code. I know this looks complicated, but don't worry, it's easier than it looks like, and we're gonna have fun with it and try some intro stuff. In the second day, we will look at the way we encounter, use, and create media on the internet. We'll discuss what are some strategies that artists employ when using the internet, such as appropriation, collage, the cut-up, and remix. We will do a free association workshop, learning how it can be used as a technique for creative input. And in the second part of the day, we'll do some digital drawing with Photopea, which is kind of an online free application similar to Photoshop. In the third day, we will talk about dreams and storytelling. So we're going to look at how dreams and the internet might be seen as similar. We'll discuss the nonlinear structure of the web, hyperlinks, and randomness. We'll also do a creative writing exercise to give our artworks that we previously did a description. And during studio time, we'll create a website where we will showcase the artwork we created in previous days. So the website is going to be our final project. So throughout these days, we're going to build towards that. And the last day, we're going to have a wrap-up. So we're going to present our projects to each other, and then we're going to have some time to troubleshoot and polish for our final exhibition. I'm going to show you quickly some past student work of this class. In each year, there's a different theme, so the work might look different to what we're going to do. But just to give you a little overview, I think it's worth seeing what other talented students created before. So on the left, we have media events by Nicholas, who was part of the Summer Institute in 2020, when the theme was time. So they created like a timeline of events that happened in the year that they were born. And on the right side, you have my homepage by Julian, who was part of the 2021 Summer Institute. So both of these were done with like using hot glue and kind of putting images together. This is also done with pixel art with this software called Pixel. Another project done also with using pixel art is A Time Journey by Alice, who was part of the 2020 Summer Institute. So their task was to create, as I said, a timeline of events that happened in the year that they were born. And I think this is a great example of how she used the theme and the techniques to talk about her own personal history in a very creative way. And one last example that I'm going to give you is another homepage by Irene, 2021. Again, done with hot glue. It's kind of understanding how to use, hyperlinks and how to use images on a web to create a web page. I want to say this again. I know Yuhao said it, but our class is not taking place in this building. It's taking place in the Young Research Library. So you're going to get a tour of where the class is a little bit later. But just so you know, group 1, who's going to start tomorrow with me, we're going to meet there at 9 a.m. tomorrow. We'll provide laptops and mice for you, but you are welcome to use your own if you want that. So yeah, that's all. Thank you. I'm going to invite Vivian to give her own presentation.
This way. Okay. Do you have note? Presenter note?
I don't.
Maybe you can just click on. Yeah.
Okay. Hello. My name is Vivian, and I am the NET program assistant for this year. A little bit about me. I graduated from Design Media Arts this year, and I minored in Asian languages and digital humanities. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I am a UX designer primarily. I was a web design intern at Apple in 2021, and I was a UX intern at Honda in 2022. And I currently work as the head of design at Proxy, which is a esports talent agency startup. So some of my work. This is my latest work. It was my senior capstone project. It was an interactive installation. I fabricated this dress and used creative coding. I used P5.js, which is the program that we're using, that we will be using for these 2 weeks, to create a dandelion that is randomized, and it's also interactive, where if you blow into your the microphone, the seeds fly off of it. So this is a project that I did in class with Ariel, and it is my lamp that is a flower. I did a photography book. So this was my first experience, actually printing a book and taking a lot of pictures for the book. But yeah. There was a period in time when I was commissioned by a company to create posters and branding for this film screening called Hong Kong Generations of Cinema. And in high school, I actually did a lot of realism drawing, so that's what I did for this project. But in DMA, you don't really do that much of drawing, but yeah. And then they also wanted me to do the branding for Los Angeles Asian Pacific Film Festival 2023, which was a couple months ago. I also made games, or I took game design in DMA, and I created this game. How I made it was through laser cutting and using Adobe Illustrator for it, and it was really fun. So yeah, I made it like a box where it holds all of my game pieces and stuff. I also created this game, which is based on Pac-Man, but it is three cats chasing one mouse. And yeah, I made little mouse traps for that. And a little pamphlet for instructions. I also made this sushi candy branding in my undergrad. And yeah, it's like a gummy candy. And these are the packaging design. Next, in undergrad, I made a website where people can submit a letter to tell their parents things that they didn't want to, that they wouldn't dare tell them, because some people like me struggled communicating with my parents growing up. So yeah. Lastly, this is an interactive storybook that I made using processing, which is another creative coding program, which is like P5.js, but instead of JavaScript, it is Java. I illustrated everything on Adobe Illustrator and then animated some aspects of it on processing, and it also is in 2 languages, so when you hover over it, it translates. So yeah. That's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Vivian. So everybody, we're gonna take a quick 15 minutes break, and then we will continue with presentations from 2 other classes. So it's 10:20 now. Please come back at 10:35. Feel free to use the bathroom. There's also a water fountain next to the bathroom.
Can Isabel check her presentation file?
Yeah, of course. Here, let me close this one. Do you have notes?
No, I don't.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
okay, great. Yeah.
Here, if you want to, you can do the presenter.
All right, is it dual screen? So I'm just dragging it.
No, it's
into-
extended,
It's
so like,
extended.
yeah.
So do this, and then you will drag this one to there,
I
and then
don't
full screen.
think I need the timer.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
it'll be shorter anyway, but like there are some that I talk about more than others.
Yeah,
if that
but
makes
just so
sense.
you see the next slides, I feel like that would be helpful.
Or you can just use that usual, presentation mode.
Yeah,
Oh,
you should.
I thought this was one of the
pause.
ones that like counts down
No,
and then
no,
it
no,
changes
no,
in
no,
like
no,
20
no.
seconds. Okay,
It
that's
doesn't,
great.
yeah.
then. Yeah.
Just for like a screen.
Here, but you
yeah.
can check your slides.
Thank you so much. So I'm just dragging it. Okay, cool. Awesome. All right, yeah.
classwork or the classes? Even the
All right, I think everybody's back. So let's welcome Do-Young for his presentation. Do-Young is going to be teaching worlds.
Hi, welcome to the World class. I'm glad to meet you guys. You from various places and with various ideas, and I'm excited to teach World class for the next 2 weeks. World building class is 4-day class where you are going to learn what is the concept of world building and how to build your own world within Unity. This class will use Unity, which is a powerful game engine used in many popular games such as Rust, Subnautica, and Hearthstone. No matter how much you know about Unity, this class aims to equip you with the skills to visualize your idea in 3D with carefully designed exercises. All you need to do is following the tutorial, which will be concise and simple during the class, and let your imagination guide you to make the world you dream. Let me just briefly introduce myself. I graduated National University of Arts in Seoul, South Korea, and worked for 2 years as a 3D artist in Seoul. Then I moved to LA and I'm working as a digital artist, and also like I'm a 3D artist based in both LA and Seoul. Before moving to LA, I studied at Korea National University of Arts. As I said, but my major was fine arts and also studied photography and video. One of the major projects I participated was City on Edge, which is a game and later featured during the 2021 Arts Electronica Festival. Aside from it, I also partook as a 3D asset designer in the e-commerce project called Samsung Galaxy Z Experience Zone when new like Flip 3 was newly launched. So this is one of my work. Before moving to the next, I will just show you some of my works relate to world building as well. Drift was exhibited in early 2023. I was interested in Korean diaspora and language as a signifier of sense of loss. Connecting to my past experience of a neighbor service, I convey the words of loss by the simulation of wave in a way that it can arouse the feeling of drifting people who have been uprooted. It was also partially an experiment to visualize the narrative of the inner world through the 3D abstract animation. Next work is Samsung Galaxy Z Experience Zone, in which I participated when I was working in a design agency in Seoul. It shows a good example how 3D designers build the world in virtual reality. I'll just keep playing it. It was during the pandemic, and the client wanted to host people in virtual world where they can meet its new product. Putting aside the marketing strategy, this short clip shows how the world we see in the screen is constructed. If you see closely, you will notice that not everything in it is created individually. Some are composited with similar blocks and are duplicated, while the main object is original. This is a useful technique in world building, which I will talk more about later. City on Edge is a puzzle game where you have to swap characters in order to maintain the balance of the wonky ground. I was art director of this project in charge of designing and making the disastrous world threatened by the unknown virus and social unrest. Lastly, the short animation film Riders was a solo project which took a year to be finished. The original idea was started from the experience during the pandemic in Seoul, when the number of delivery bikes was on its highest peak as there were no substitute to transfer and distribute the supplies, while the transportation and business were restricted in order to stop the spread of the coronavirus. Based on the impression from the society at the time, I imagined the world where another pandemic but stronger than ever struck the world, and everything is under the control of mega corporates and government. I collected the news and tried to reflect the major events happened in Korea and neighboring countries in Northeastern Asia, including social unrest and political turmoil span over the countries. In the animation, apparently dystopia future of Seoul shows the boundaries of nations has collapsed and the multinational corporation replaced the nationalism. Considering the social issues, facts, and concerns, I designed the world of the future Seoul using 3D softwares. Backing up, the class Words is a 4-day class that aims to teach the concept of world building and help you guys to learn Unity and create your own. But what is world building? World building is a practice of constructing an imaginary world by setting coherent qualities such as history, geography, and ecology in order to create fictional yet compelling world. It is close to fictional writings as many fictions had its own backgrounds that support their stories to be realistic and captivating. For example, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz is the first series of Oz series written by Lyman Frank Baum. The world set created by him is shared by other series such as The Marvelous Land of Oz, Ozma of Oz, The Emerald City of Oz, etc. For storytelling, he kept the coherence throughout the series. According to the events and stories, he placed supporting and antagonizing characters in each side and made up the sets accordingly, which resonates with the characters. Another example, like Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings series, needless to say, has a fantastic world set where he elaborately described the history, landscape, people, and culture as if they really exist in ancient history. The vast world of Middle-earth is a reason why its readers are so drawn to it. Let's see some other examples from games. One game like Horizon Zero Dawn, which is a game whose background is a far future from now, where ginormous mechanical beasts reminding us of extinct reptile ancestors, dominates world and humanity are striving to survive. Even one shot of the game illustration already makes it tempting to play, yet the essence of the game is well-constructed background stories and elaborately designed technology and environment. As you walk through the world in Horizon Zero Dawn, you'll be able to feel the sense of realism based on the complex world building behind the game. World building is not just building and constructing something randomly, and it's also not just making a stage. It includes designing of imaginative history, geography, flora, fauna, inhabitants, etc. It has to be followed by logical thinking and meticulous design. The factors of your world must be organically connected together, and those links have to be reasonable. Before we dive into Unity on the first day, we are going to do a warm-up practice to specify the design of your world. After this essential work, the rest of the part will be Unity exercise to realize your design. So how can we build our world? To create world in a specific amount, in a given amount of time, we are going to use kit bashing technique, which can give you a solution to create yours efficiently. It is a useful and common technique in 3D art, constructing a complex assets or a world by using the simpler and smaller 3D units. By positioning, rotating, rescaling, and duplicating them, you can build anything no matter how much it is like complex. And it's basically similar to collaging, but collaging in 3D. During the words class, you will be provided with a vast collection of 3D assets called land bashing kit, which contains a variety of assets, terrains. Also includes like particle effects, so you can decorate later. Also, there are two primary strategies for world building, which is top-down and bottom-up approach. These approaches differ in terms of the scale of the scope with which designers begin when they are constructing a world. Alternatively, designers can also opt to combine these two approaches, leveraging the advantage of each approach to design their world. So let's see top-down strategy first. In this strategy, designers begin by drawing the overall settings and establishing the large-scale design elements such as geography, climate, and something more. They focus on determining the general characteristics of the world, including its inhabitants, technology level, major climate features, or background histories. Subsequently, the designer progressively develops the rest of the world, adding increasing levels of detail. For example, this game, Imagine Earth, which is an economic strategy and a climate crisis simulator, gives you authority to intervene into the world by building infrastructure and supply resources as if you are a mighty being, which resonates with the concept of the top-down method. You are an almighty eye floating above the world and shape the world according to your concept. Then the idea of details follow later to correspond to your overall design. On the other hand, the bottom-up strategy, it begins by immersing oneself in the details, including aspects like the socio-economic system, currency, and culture. As these elements are explored, the scope of the world gradually expands, unveiling a more comprehensive and intricate portrayal. Subsequently, the design of the world extends to encompass additional areas that collectively form the entirety of the world. Probably one of the best examples of the bottom-up method in world building would be Ian Chang's work. His work is a live autonomous digital ecosystem where all entities reside and interact with each other with a given algorithm, sophisticated codes by which they do the same activities as we do every day. Each entities are created individually, but as they make interaction, and these interaction interfered by third, fourth, fifth, or like uncountable intruders, the quality of diversity of their appearance exponentially increase, reaching to the level of alternative reality. Simply another word. Essentially, all these methods will be practiced within Unity, where we can create our world and then convert it into a form can be shared with more people, players, or audience. For each day, we are going to cover fundamentals such as navigation, materials, lights, and interaction in Unity. So, what is your definition of dream? The theme for Summer Institute 2023 is centered around the concept of dream, which can represent either your ideal future or the vivid experience we have while we are sleeping. Before working with Unity, you will draw inspiration from various types of sources, including fictions, but also from like personal memories and emotions. This process will help you define and create your own unique dream worlds. Lastly, I will share some of the students' work from 2022 Summer Institute. This is a work by Brigitte Brannigan from 2022 Summer Institute. She made a parallel world to Earth, where the boundary between alive and dead is unclear. Her world depicts how death is viewed by the inhabitants of the planet and how they would interact. She wanted to have her world to perceive death from different angles, putting it in a positive, vibrant light and accentuate it with a diverse architecture style field with increasing interesting vegetation, which is fundamentally not their own. Another work from 2022 Summer Institute is Summer Miller's work. In his work, he depicts a planet orbiting around one star, an alien solar system, where a lone galactic merchant named John Revere explores after a mysterious accident which teleported him to the unknown world. By using post-processing effect and lights in 3D world, he intended to construct a distant universe and portray it through John Rivere's, who's a lone explorer's eyes. Another student, like Ashley Iatoni, represented her dream world. Giant food is scattered across an ombre of green and blue rolling hills. A campfire feed is always ignited. Occasionally, like fairy dust, is dispersed around the world. She used all the things she learned through the program and integrated it into her world to create a stylized world of her dream, like using particle effects to accentuate the dreamy feelings. So from seeing these works, there are certainly infinite possibilities in Unity and your imagination. I hope this words class can be a catalyst to build your strengths in both 3D software and logical thinking to make your own compelling world. I'm really looking forward to seeing you in the classes, and I shall let Isabel to continue her representation. Thank you.
Sweet, thank you. All right. So, hi everyone. I'm Isabel. I'll be your TA for Worlds, and I go by she, her, and I'm a recent graduate. And I'm just gonna take you on a little journey through my DESMA projects and learning 3D through this program. And this is where I started. I started as a digital artist, mainly just doing 2D and drawing. And this was for a world building class. This was my first time using Unity, and I basically just focused on making a bunch of different biomes and little characters you could interact with and walk through. And then I decided that I really wanted to try 3D. So this was my first 3D character model ever, and I made some cats caramel dancing for a designing avatars class and found that that was my niche. So I started leading into this sort of cringy gothic fantasy style, and that's typically where a lot of my work falls today. And I like to talk a lot about escapism and nostalgia, and this was a sort of interactive animation where it was about quarantine, where you just ran through this infinite room, sort of backroomsy, that was never ending, with just a new media playing on the TV and the computer each time you went around. And I realized the magic of reusing 3D assets and how once you make something, you just can put it in any scenario and context you want. So I ended up recoloring and changing the hair and style and making all these girls dance just for fun to see what I could do with them. And that same character model ended up being put into a music video for this song Black Cloud that eventually actually was in one of the DMA undergraduate shows. Here's just a couple clips from it. Again, just reusing a lot of the assets that I had already made for other classes. I was able to put together this music video in just I think it was a 2-week project actually. And then after that, I started working on this project, Go Touch Some Grass, with a friend of mine, and we collaborated to make this sort of escape room style game where you traveled through 12 different randomly themed rooms and were looking for some strange object that would allow you to exit the room. And you eventually had to make your way to find this grand field of grass where you just stayed there until you shut the game off, just as a sort of meditative experience. And then after that, because it was a lot of coding and a lot of modeling, I took a physical media break and decided to do some 3D printing. And I made this like wizard staff lamp and this oracle that was 3D printed that if you like gave it a drop of blood, it would answer yes or no to your question, and it would light up red or blue, say yes or no. And then I went back to 3D and I started learning Houdini, which, if you don't know about Houdini, it is, if you like watch any action movie and you see big splashes of water or explosions or fire, it's likely in Houdini. And Houdini is also really, really good at making trees. So I made a print book actually about digital environments and made a ton of trees. And then I was like, okay, Houdini's really cool. So I decided to learn how to like simulate liquid, and made some sci-fi vats just to practice controlling the like viscosity, and ended up learning how to do some growth simulation, which is what that pink sort of winding tendril is. And I also started using ZBrush, which is how you get 3D models that look complex and like more lifelike. It's more like modeling with clay than it is moving around cubes and polygons. This was more like, I started getting really into myth again, and revisiting a bunch of like Greek myth and folklore monsters. And so I made a Cerberus guarding the river Styx, also in Houdini with all that like liquid dripping. And I went back to character modeling after that, and I was in a class learning Maya, but I also used ZBrush, and I started to learn how to how to paint textures. So that was one of the most satisfying things. Substance Painter, if any of you are interested in that, is how you get to paint directly onto a 3D model, which can be really, really satisfying. And then I made this little fairy house, floating fairy house that for a short animation project. It ended up only being like 10 seconds, but the castle I ended up really happy with. And then this was actually for a motion class with Rafiq Anadol, one of our professors here, and it was made for this room, a giant wall-to-wall, like, this is in a program called Mandelbulb 3D, which is a like infinite fractal 3D renderer, which I don't know if any of you guys have seen those like infinite zoom-ins into like a cube or a geometric shape. That this program works with that and helps you light it and guide a camera through it, which is super, super cool. And then this was my thesis project that I completed a few weeks ago, actually. It was this like big 4-foot wide frame and a church setting, and it was about like the dangers and consequences of blind faith and obsession and losing yourself into a community or a cult. And it really pushed me in all areas because I had a physical portion, I had an animation, a friend of mine made the music, and I was learning a bunch of new softwares like how to make clothes, how to fully rig my own models. And this was my first thing where I did like truly everything from scratch. Just like her little transformation sequence where like, oh, sweet girl turned into this dark figure that was sort of ruling over this cathedral. And I took those fractal panels and turned them into the stained glass windows, which again, reuse your own assets, like reuse your own projects. They can fit into more things than you think, and you'll get a lot more use out of them. So make sure to save all your stuff. And yeah, that's all I have to show you for now, but I'm really looking forward to working with you guys and teaching you worlds and see what you guys do. So thank you.
Oh, go that way. What is it? It's okay. Yeah. Hello. My name is Kevin. I'm a filmmaker. I'm from the Bay Area. I went to CCA in Oakland for media arts for my undergrad. And then after I graduated, I moved to Sweden for 8 years. So I spent a year at the Royal Institute of Art in Stockholm on a project year, just working on a film. But I live in LA now, and I work as a writer and director and editor. I started out doing music videos about 10 years ago. It's just some screenshots from music videos. And then I got kind of tired of music videos, so I wanted to get more into narrative, so I started to do some short films. That's one. That's another one. I made a feature film about growing up in San Francisco. I shot that in about 2015, and then spent like 5 years figuring out how to edit it. So it took a really long time, and then it was done, and it was COVID, so it just came out recently. So I want to talk to you about the work I'm doing right now. I'll just play it. It's, well, you can see.
Your call is important. Please have your 12-digit reference number. Please stay on the line.
So I'm going to talk more closely into the mic because I had to turn the mic down. Right now what I'm working on is like an anthology series idea where basically each episode is meant to be watched kind of in the background. The idea behind this is that people are kind of addicted to watching things constantly all the time these days, I think. We watch things on our phones, on TVs and computers. There's screens everywhere you look, at the gas station or just kind of everywhere. But I think a lot of times people watch things and they don't really pay attention, or like I don't. Like even if I want to watch a movie or something, I might get home and put something on and then look at my phone or make some food or just not pay attention to what it is that I thought I wanted to watch. I think a lot of cinematic content is made to sort of try and get your attention and hold your attention and make it so that you never stop watching. I think that's kind of a golden rule for sort of commercial cinema, keep people watching. And to kind of hold you there with twists and surprises and spectacle, which I think is fine. But we haven't really made that much content that is like kind of going against that sort of invites you to just have it on in the background. I mean, I think YouTube has done some of that, the Lo-Fi Girl and whatnot, just kind of ambient watching. So this is sort of a play on that, but then it allows for some narrative to kind of come in as well. So yeah, it each episode sort of starts out slow, kind of lets you stop paying attention, and then a narrative sort of slowly begins, and you're able to kind of enter into it peripherally, like you've overheard a conversation rather than you're being asked to be a part of a conversation. Ideally, when I was first thinking about this concept, I wanted to make something that was so slow that you could just fall asleep to it, and then eventually it would wake you up, like something would happen, a noise or whatnot. So you could enter into it in almost like a half dream state. But I've kind of gone away from that particular idea now. But anyway, I'm gonna let you guys just kind of watch this, and if you need to check your phone or something for like a minute or so, and then I'll talk about the course. Like you don't have to pay attention. You can look at your phone. Okay, so I'll just, but yeah, really quick. It's really slow for a long time. She takes selfies of herself. She walks through the woods. She goes for a swim. Finally, she's been on hold. They finally answer, so she has to swim back, and she needs like a reference number that she doesn't have because she's left where she lives and is going for a swim. And then finally, there is a narrative scene.
Elsa and I decided to get divorced.
about
Oh,
a guy who's
really?
getting divorced.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Thank you.
That's
Anyway, so that's what I've been working on these days. This was a proof of concept for the series, and I'm hoping I've shot one episode as a part of a season, and I'm hoping to shoot more soon. But let's talk about the class motion. So we're going to think about dream logic in the class. The theme of this 2-week course is dreams, and I think dream logic is kind of a very crucial aspect of film and cinema. So what is dream logic? Let's let David Lynch say what he thinks dream logic is.
Very rarely, but I always say I love the dream logic. Cinema can say a dream logic, which is an abstraction. It can say things that are difficult to say in words. Just like when you have a dream, so much understanding for you, but when you try to tell your friend, it's very difficult to say in words something that would give your friend the same experience you had. So, but cinema can be the dream, can give that thing. Still, there's different interpretations.
So, yeah, that is the master, David Lynch, talking about dream logic. If you don't know who David Lynch is, he's made a lot of amazing movies. I looked up the definition of dream logic on Urban Dictionary. It was the nonsensical logic one possesses while dreaming that makes perfect sense until he or she or they wake up. And yeah, I liked David Lynch's quote as well. Cinema can be the dream. So, what does that mean? What could that mean for our course? I think we're gonna try to write something that maybe goes between ordinary and surreal, because I think that a lot of dreams are kind of powerful dreams. Are quite ordinary, but there's something surreal about them. This is a dream that I had a long time ago, that I think it isn't maybe an example of something that I'll ask you guys to try to write. You can read it. And so I had that dream, and I think I was laughing in the dream, and then I woke up laughing. So it was a nice dream that I had. Not all dreams are nice. So the logic of a dream often makes no sense, but it can create a very powerful and unique emotional response. And being able to create a powerful emotional response is very useful in any kind of creative art, I think. So, the class that I'm going to teach you guys, it's very simple. We're going to do one thing. We're going to come up with an idea and take 4 days to try to make the best thing that we can. We're going to start by developing an idea. We're going to brainstorm each of you are going to brainstorm a dreamlike idea. You will write a short script or outline, and then kind of create a plan, a shot list, a storyboard, however you want to work to produce that idea. Then you're going to collaborate with each other to film the idea. And then we're going to get into the editing, learn some Premiere, play with sound design, play with some motion keyframes if you guys haven't done that. There's also going to be a chance, once you have a rough cut, I think there'll be some time to kind of go back and reshoot maybe, because I think that's an important thing in any project, is that sometimes you try something and it doesn't work, and you might want to try to do it a little better. But that's it.
All right. Thank you for all our wonderful instructors and program assistants. Let's give a round of applause for them again. So I think we're going to break for lunch earlier than the schedule. Before you exit this room, I got handed some brewing cards for you all. So they're arranged by your last name on the checking table back there. So make sure you take a look and see if you can find yours. And we're gonna be sticking around a little bit just in case if you have questions. And make sure you come back and we will gather in front of this room at 1 p.m. All right, so I'll see you all at 1 p.m. back here.